This Gemini energy is definitely light, airy, and ready for creation. But we're being put to the test underneath of that to clear out the space to create this higher version of ourselves. So during this time, you might be feeling like you're trying to swim up that river, but you're being asked to surrender and go with the flow. So stay tuned, because I'm going to share with you 4 C's that can help you bring in and usher in this universal reboot that we're collectively doing. Hello, fellow flames. In case we haven't met, my name is Dr. Harmony, and I will help you live fearless, live loved, and live free. If you're new to my channel, welcome. And if you're returning, welcome back. And if you've not already done so, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so that you know when all of my videos and content come live. So there are 4 steps and stages to this universal reboot. And we're going to talk about the first one, which is to clear. There's a lot of clearing going on as we've been doing, but again, it's another layer. It's revisiting especially the ancestral wounds, parental conditioning, cultural conditions, and taking a look deep inside at the programs, the beliefs, the patterns, it's about us really finding right now for our personal selves, our own truth and trust. Trust is the key here. I've talked about a couple videos on trust. Even the last one was on trust. It was, I'll make sure you have a link below, above and below, or the end here, so you can connect to that video if you've not already done so. It's about, does the universe have your back, and questioning your path and feeling like you're out in the wilderness, and can you trust the process? And because we are going through these things to clear, and we're continuing to see more depths of who we are, and we're going inward. And I talked in that video about going inward, being kind of could feel like we're caught in a web of like our ancestral bondage, or, you know, breaking free from that, or are we really just in the cocoon? And this last week, I've been feeling this sense of the cocoon being like my pixie needing to come out and, you know, have fun. And even though I've tried to do that with my situation of the recovery from the virus and still having certain things that are being triggered, basically, it's not like I can go do the things that I think I want to do. I'm not in a place of, even though I've tried it, not capable of it. And that feels even like more bondage, which is very restricting. So a lot of people in this cocoon are feeling very restricted, very constricted, very trapped. Like in this clearing of like, is it ever going to end? Will I ever get beyond this? And I feel these same things with what I'm going through right now as well. It feels like it's a never-ending circle, cycle, and loop. But one of the things I've been shown is that that loop that we've been in is starting to turn into the labyrinth. And that labyrinth is like, feel like we're going into the circles, but we're going inward each time, deeper and more impactful. And we're doing that to clear, to create space, to bring in more of who we really are. And the second part of this reboot is the correction of the imbalance within the energy. So we're clearing, and then the energy, and we're correcting the energy. So we're correcting imbalances. We're correcting anything that's out of alignment with our highest self, our highest truth. We're being put to the test to see what is of our highest good, and are we going to settle for less than what we deserve, or less than who we are at our highest version of ourselves? And the universe has really stepped in, and if you're out of alignment with your highest good, it's like you're going to be tested to the point where it's going to force you to go into that inward place to discern and question, should you or should you not take this direction? And this is where the trust is coming in, because it's also then looking at the trust within self and knowing, because I've made choices before, and I've been down this path before, and I've been tested before, and I've had consequences to pay before, and I have emotional trauma now from all of this that is really not just from what I've been going through, which is creating emotional trauma, but I have stored emotional trauma from past lives. I have stored things that is from this life that I never processed. And I've talked to you about my journey, how that's trapped inside the physical body. And so I have been being treated for post-traumatic stress syndrome through multiple types of treatments. And I look at that, on one end, really being like, after all I've been through, I seriously have to go through another thing. It's like, why, right? If you're feeling that, let me know, because when I talk to people, everyone seems to be feeling that kind of same question. And what I'm being shown is that, of course, being, a way shower, that I'm templating things and knowing things and learning things to help, of course, share and come here. Of course, my own advisor said, well, where would you get your content from if it stopped, right? I'm like, I get it, but in a human form, it feels inhumane to keep going through trauma after trauma after trauma. And these things are organically taking place. It's not like I'm technically digging for anything. I thought I had gotten past it in January, and that the wave was creation going forward. And then this universal reset and reboot for all of us says that the vibration has changed, and it's a purge through the clearing I talked about, and then correcting the imbalances of our thoughts, feelings, emotions, our way we handle things, especially. And the part of the way I would say that would be the way you manage your emotions, because the emotional part in this and the trauma that it's caused on us physically, emotionally, mentally through our path and our journey in our life, it has created a real disturbance in our being as a human being, as we're trying to integrate this higher frequency into the body. First of all, that in itself, is hard on the body, much less going through ailments. So a lot of people are going through physical trauma in a way that have physical ailments right now that is causing things that is forcing people to experience certain things to gain their lessons. And we are thine own best healer. And like when it comes to those physical ailments, like through, of course, thought's the number one thing, but through our nutrition, eating properly for those things, through our the actions and thoughts that we take in that is supporting our vibration or not. So it's either feeding us or depleting us. And so you want to, in this imbalance, this correction of really healing the core traumas and healing the wounds and transforming it so we can transcend it. It's taking toll on our nervous systems. My nervous system, I've been literally going through shock and physical states of shock from what my body is trying to release this. And like I've traced out about 12 different physical and emotional type traumatic experiences that my body has kind of held and created patterns of firing mechanisms that as I've had more inflammation in it, and the inflammation targeting that area of my of my nervous system is creating what feels like a nervous breakdown, basically affecting my sleep and affecting the functions of how I heal. And on top of that, getting all kinds of treatment and therapies for that. Of course, I need that, but at the end of the day, only we can take the actions we take. Only we can have our thoughts, And that being said, in these correction of these patterns of actions and programs that have been from our bloodline that we're clearing, and we're correcting the imbalance of those and reprogramming new thoughts, feelings, and emotions. These are not even our stuff that's coming from past life, but a lot of generational stuff is coming through people right now that isn't even what you own. I know personally I am purging a lot of things that's from my family, and namely, parents right now. And and down the bloodline of things. And that's why it's so confusing, because it's like, who is this? What is this? What, am I going crazy? I can't tell you how many people have said they feel like they're going crazy mentally right now from all of this. If you're experiencing this, one, I want you to know you're not alone. Two, please let me know so I know I'm not alone, because it's intense, to say the least. And the third thing that we're doing in this universal reboot is we are collecting the soul fragments that we've lost in our journeys, in every time, space, reality, parallel reality. And so it's so multidimensional that even when we feel this stuff emotionally, these emotions, yes, they're stored in our body, but our energetic auric field also holds and stores the memory. Our DNA stores the memory of like all of this trauma, all these wounds, all the pain, all the emotions. And so we're basically, as we go through that clearing and that correcting, and we're letting those things go, we're creating like a balance in the imbalance of this signal that's going in and out of our frequency, I should say, and the auric field becoming a filter of what's coming in and out. We have built up walls of protection that has not allowed us to receive. So we're trying to heal this in a way that we're healing all of our wholeness and collecting all these parts of these shadows even that we've separated from, that is also causing us pain. And if you've done it, you're just doing it deeper, and you're collecting. A lot of people are collecting those shadows right now. And that's not to say that there's not also the lighter side of this. So think about it also in a way that how we navigate this moment of this eclipse and this energy can also be viewed from a state of, am I going to do my old pattern of like going through a process of thinking and believing it has to be hard? Or can I lay down my weapons that I've been having to use, and can I surrender and flow with this process and let go? Now, I just had a session with a client that my own personal sessions over the last couple of weeks has been all about surrender and flow, and about learning how to swim. And my mother, I realized I was taking so many fears on from my mother all the way down to the womb, which I already knew that, but I was still carrying them down to the fact that where I'm at right now makes me feel like I need to surrender to the point I can relax and let go, to let all of this stuff come out of me that feels like it's going to break me apart doing it. And I don't want to let go. I've never been that open, never been that vulnerable. And it feels like I'm going to just fall apart and fall to pieces doing it. But something I've felt coming my whole life that I haven't allowed myself to do. I envisioned it most of my life and thinking, I don't know how I could ever get there, what it would take. But I am right on the cusp of that. And I can feel it. And it's scary. It's a dark, deep place that feels like you're just going to lose your, like, yes. And so in that space, though, like what I'm saying in this is that with my mother and me feeling like I needed to surrender and float. Well, right now I can't. I would even go take swim lessons, and I've said I was going to, but for 2 years I've been battling vertigo. And I got it originally slightly from floating in the salt floats that was floating, okay? And then from there, I had a dream that I had fell, and I landed. It put my body in a physical state of shock, and next morning I went to try to move my back like I do with a little roll, and energy shut up my back into my brain, and I went into a severe vertigo and was in bed for 5 days, and it was the worst I ever felt, but I have never got fully over it, and my body has been on guard ever since, trying to heal from that. Now, I had a retreat coming like within 2 to 3 weeks after this happening, and when people showed up, I was in my most vulnerable state then and said, I felt like I'm going to let you guys down. I didn't even know how if I was going to be able to show up for this or how to show up for this. And so I just had to be authentic and real and let them see me, you know, in that state of vulnerability, which is what we're having to do in this time right now, is a lot of vulnerability. And even me showing up here, you know, I've been showing up for my clients at the most authentic I've ever been, to be able to collect the sides of me that I've never connected to, and let those parts be seen. And that is just not easy, honestly. It's really not. We want to, I feel like somebody stripped my blanket off and I want to curl back up in it. And on the other side, I know how I heal in the past. I have enough wits about me to know that how I heal is healing, helping others heal, and putting what I'm going through into sharing it, and that transforms it. And then in the process, I am healed in the process. And that's how I survive and through this, technically. So if you're not sharing who you are and you're not putting your pain into a purpose, then you're kind of wasting that fuel and that energy. And if you can put it into that purpose, it will help you heal in the process, and you're going to collect more of who you are. You're going to be able to then become more of that whole, more of the complete, more of the full, true, authentic version of yourself. That is what this journey is all about. So the fourth thing we're doing during this universal reboot is connecting to all of the higher realms of our highest blueprint, of our highest timeline, of our destiny, of the creation side of what we're to bring into form. This is kind of our future in a way. It's who we are at the highest version. In these choices we make as we do transform and transcend from those limitations and shift from fear to freedom as we go up in that ascension process, we are connecting to a higher version of ourselves, meaning we're connecting to more light, we're connecting to more truth, we're connecting to more trust, we're connecting to more of our divinity, our divine innate intelligence that really has inside of us what it is we need. And therefore, if we will surrender and flow, and especially through this timeline, and make it go down the river, okay? And in my case, since my mother was so afraid of me swimming and like wouldn't let me get over my waist and would freak out, you know, as I was mentioning earlier, she had a fear of me drowning, so I couldn't get over my waist. And so she has that same fear in her life. And so it's the sense of what I'm going through. And I've had other people say the same thing to me about, it's like, now's the time to swim. And I've had other people start to say to me, they can't swim either. And they're also going through the same thing of surrender and flow. And if you're a great swimmer, you probably have the ability to surrender and flow maybe easier. I don't know. If you tell me if you do, because I can relate the two very easily. To me, especially since I'm not able to surrender and flow literally, you know, in a stream or water, but I can envision, you know, this life raft of coming out to, you know, basically support me and allow me then to stop trying to fight upward and to like hang on to that and just let it take me downstream to where my path is, of what it is I came here to do. And it is in blind faith right now as to that direction, because we're all going to a new level in this reboot. And so no matter where you've been, you're going somewhere new. And I don't care, like, say what you've been doing, like even myself is upgrading, up leveling, and it's new territory, even if I've done it. And so it can be a feeling also of wandering in the wilderness in the dark. And especially because it's so deep. And because we are clearing and these things within ourselves that are in our bloodline and in our DNA that we don't consciously even know what it is, we're clearing the darkness, and our own inner demons basically are coming out to be these shadows of our what we came here to transmute and let go of and collectively purge, so that we can collectively now correct the imbalances in the frequencies of between this 3D and 5D energy and the masculine and the feminine. So in this convergence that we're able to collect all of the newness And then we can start to create that as we connect to the higher timeline. Okay, so that's what we're basically doing. So please let me know how you're navigating this journey during this timeline. And if you have any thoughts of how to surrender and let go, tell me what you're doing. I would love to know, because I might want to use your tip. Okay, and I'm going to be doing a lot of deep healing over the next week, physically with healers, to release the trauma that's been stored in my body. So I'm going to do my best to show up next week for a video, but I honestly don't know where that's going to go and lead to the timeline of my journey next week, because I'm taking off and the time to do some healing and shifting my schedule a little bit. So with that being said, may you always face your fears, find freedom, and choose to make this an impactful time of ease and grace, and just flow on into what it is you came here to do. I'll see you in the next video. Namaste.